freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Today we're doing a series called Ameri-CAN, talking about the can-do spirit that is part of our American DNA.
Absolutely, and our lives have just been completely turned upside down with this COVID-19 season. And we're hearing about all the things that we can't do and the places that we can't go. Well, we're reaching out to experts in their area to talk to us about ways that we still can learn and grow, train and connect, and expand our freedoms in ways that maybe we never even thought about before. And our guest today is Jameson. Now, Jason, full disclosure, is our son-in-law, and he is the co-founder of Lost Gravity Games. In the age of video games, board games have made a huge comeback as people have become hungry for more in-person interactions and social get-togethers. Family business runs deep in this group, and Jason's co-founder, who we wish could have been here with us today, is his cousin, Clint Bishop. Together, Jason and Clint started Lost Gravity Games in 2019 to create and promote board games. Welcome to the show, son-in-law.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Jason. So, first of all, I just have to ask, why are they called board games? They're not boring at all. Right?
You're right. You're right. That's a good point. Sometimes they're called tabletop games, so maybe you'd want to call them that instead.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to actually write that down. I did not know that. I'm learning things already. So yeah. Where did the idea, which by the way, I love the name, Lost Gravity Games. Where did the idea come from? Have you always just had a passion for game playing? Where did all this originate?
So it kind of started because of this little box right here, this relic game. So Clint and I got together a while back because I was working night shifts a couple of years back and just really not able to interact with people very much. And, I was asleep when everybody else was awake. And so I started just looking for ways to be able to interact with people as much as possible, and stumbled upon a video YouTube series about board games, and it kind of just sparked something in me that I'm like, oh man, I didn't realize there was like this whole new world of board games now. Like, it's not just Monopoly and Clue anymore. There's like just a huge market out there for it of new stuff. So that kind of started my passion for it, and I started buying some new games. And Clint got involved in that, and the two of us really like jumped on playing new games and getting into that. So then we decided we wanted to try our hand at making our own game. So we created Relic, and we've been fine-tuning that through the years here, and we wanted to build a company around that board game in order to possibly put it on Kickstarter or, market it some way. And so that's kind of where Lost Gravity came from, was to promote Relic. And we just decided, because Relic is about time travel, you're going through space, and like pieces of time have been lost, so just the name Lost Gravity kind of stuck out of a couple different names. So that's kind of the story behind the company.
You mentioned time travel. We're going to have to talk about that someday, Jason.
No, not happening.
It is a taboo topic in our family because we start going down that rabbit hole of, okay, so if you go back in time and you meet yourself, never mind. We're not even gonna. All right.
Would you even like yourself?
Right. Would you even like yourself? Let's not go there. And so I want to talk more about Relic, but when we talk about, you created something out of nothing, that entrepreneurial spirit, I just absolutely love. I love that there's a connection and a theme between your first game. I assume it's your first of more to come.
Right.
And your name and then your logo. I love your logo. I don't know if you can either grab that little sticker behind you or show us your shirt. It's so cool. Yeah, bring that close to the camera. So explain to us because there's a lot going on in a very small space. So it's a space helmet.
Yeah, so it's an astronaut helmet, so you can tell they're in space. And then the dice kind of give the idea of board games, and everybody knows dice are involved with games. So yeah, we reached out to somebody with kind of a vague idea of the logo, and they did a fantastic job of putting it together and making it what it is now.
I mean, that is just high quality, top notch. And I think that sometimes not only conveys to the people that will be your customers that you've really thought things through, and that there's something going on here. This isn't just kind of like a little side hobby thing. This is something that has some legs. But I think it also conveys it back to the actual entrepreneur that, yeah, I really have something here. Do you feel like you had a reaction when you started seeing things really materialize, that the more it materialized, the more it encouraged you?
Absolutely. So I'm going to give full credit for the high quality of our logo and making it what it is to Clint. He's very much the detailed oriented type between the two of us. I'm the one that's just kind of like, let's throw something out there and get moving. And Clint's really like, I want to know the details. I want things to look precise and exact. And so, it's good. We balance each other really well that way. And so, yeah, we made the board game, and Clint and I worked really hard on that. And so now this quarantine stuff started, and it was kind of hard for us to get together and work on anything. Coming up with ideas was really difficult when we're separated like that. And so I kind of took this time to build our social media presence, and I'm working on that currently. So I'm posting up things almost every day now about different board games that I'm playing and ways that people can just have some fun with each other right now, and just trying to promote our name a little bit and get us out there. And so it's been really awesome to see, like, I've been retweeted and I've been liked by some of the people that make the games that are behind me. And so that's been super awesome to see. And it makes me really glad that we started out with getting like a really nice professional looking logo, and it just feels good when I know that that's what we're presenting to the world when I'm posting stuff out.
So I have to ask, who's the better board player, you or?
Oh,
Clint's not here to defend himself, so that's not a super fair question. But I mean, honestly, we go back and forth pretty good. But I usually edge out most.
Let me see. I think I can figure it out. He who reads the instructions and explains the game is the one that will win the game. Huh, Jason?
Why don't you teach me a game next time, Dan? Then we'll see if you can win.
I am teaching you a game.
Okay. The game of life.
The lame of life, yes.
The lame of life, yes. No, that's a little peek behind the scenes, because, of course, being our son-in-law, we spend a lot of time together, and he has just become naturally our game master, and he finds these awesome games and he brings them, and he's like, okay, now I'm going to teach you guys how to play this. And, of course, we're like, yeah. Okay, right. Sure. As we're looking at our cell phone and nodding and acting like we pay attention.
And then as soon as we learn the game, guess what happens?
He pulls out the rule book and says, oh, wait a minute. I forgot. There's this new rule that I forgot to read to you, and we're on to you, Jason. We are on to you.
Now it's time for a new game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you guys end up beating me ever, then I have to pull out a new game so that I can keep winning. So
totally.
The only thing
that's what it's really all about.
The only thing we can beat you at is Monopoly. Is that even a game anymore?
I know, it's true. So getting back to Relic just for a minute. So when you create a board game, because this is not my world, right? Dan and I are entrepreneurs and we love thinking up business ideas and bringing them to life. But so a board game, is it kind of like, oh, inspiration hit, the light bulb literally comes up above my head and I have the whole thing all in one go? Is that how that works?
Absolutely not. At least not in our case. Maybe there's people out there that are able to just have a thought and just make it into a full-fledged game in one go. But Clint and I mean, Relic has gone through so many different changes, and like the core of the game changed several times as far as what like the goal was. But one thing that I think is cool and reflects itself in a lot of the games that I play is there's like certain core mechanics to games, and so if you know like certain things about other games, then they kind of mesh with new games. So they'll take like one thing about dice with this game and another thing about money with this game, and then they'll mash them together. And so if you knew those two other games, you know how to play this new one. So but of course there's also new things coming out all the time that you've never seen before, which is also exciting. But yeah, it's we sat down and we had like, I think for us, we started with the theme. We really wanted something time travel related, just because we're huge like Back to the Future fans. And so we wanted something to do with time travel, and we built some ideas around that and came up with other ideas to make it like a fun game to do that. So yeah, it's a lot of just fine tuning and finding what works and what doesn't work.
And so is Relic in its final state and ready to sell now, or are you still working out some of the details and the design and the whatever? So
Relic is play tested, but I wouldn't necessarily call it in its final design at the moment. I've kind of taken over the head of social media presence and working on building that, and Clint's kind of taken on the head of the game development. So Clint had other ideas for games as well, and so it's kind of like if he wants to take Relic to the next level, I'm there to support him in that, but he's kind of heading that. Or if he wants to come up with a new game, because he's had several ideas, like I said, so he may decide to go a different game route and start developing that. But we both assist each other with what we're working on at the time.
So if everybody out there is listening and they're like, I've got to get this time travel game, Relic, they can't buy it just yet, is what you're saying.
Correct. We're not ready. We're not ready there. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah, don't quit developing that game. Keep on, Clint, because it's a great game. Don't make that game a Relic.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dad jokes.
No, seriously, it's a great game.
Dan.
You guys need to pursue that and get that going.
Now, as I say that, because, we post these interviews online and somebody could be listening, multi-years from now, and it might actually be out there. So this is May 11th of 2020. So anytime after that date, Relic could be out there for sale. Check it out.
It's possible.
Lost Gravity Games and look for that. So you are, as you said, working on the social media end of things, which honestly, that can be a whole full-time job.
It really is. I did not understand how much work goes into that kind of stuff. It's pretty wild, but it's also really exciting and fun.
So what are some of the tips and tricks and key things that you feel has taken you from, you've just started this since quarantine began. So from literally 0 followers because you hadn't posted anything to now you have a few hundred already, right?
No, we're a little under 200 right now.
Okay. That's super exponential growth, especially, when you're talking about people who are in the gun business and you cannot promote or do anything to get your name out there except for organically in the gun business. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, Jason, you're a magician.
So
how are
jealous,
you getting all these followers? Yes, I am. So what have you found to be successful at reaching people?
Well, so for me, a big thing is I want to try to post regularly so that people are interested in following me. If that I feel like if I look at it like if I were going to follow somebody, what would I want to see? And so that's where every day or every other day I try to post something up. And the other thing is just I try to post things that are interesting to me. So I like to write a lot of text about the pictures that I post online, give an idea about what the game that I'm playing is about and who might want to play it. And yeah, just fun little ideas that I have as far as like how to do like a quick little video of dice rolling or a cool shot of the game where you're like looking at it from a little character's perspective or something like that. So just kind of being artsy with it in my own way. I'm not a super artsy person, but it's fun to kind of look at a board game a different way and not rather than as something to play, like something as a piece of art. And, you know, I feel like the posts that have gotten the most hits or likes or whatever you want to say have been just the ones that I thought were cool and fun to play with.
So when you are trying to, you know, show a new game to people who are checked out on their cell phones, guilty, sorry, I've done that to you. Do you ever think to yourself, man, if I could just maybe film myself explaining this game, then maybe they would look at it on their cell phone and I wouldn't have to sit here and keep explaining it over and over and over again. Like, are you giving any thought to maybe being an influencer in that way, or, you know, kind of a game master for the masses instead of just our little family of 4 or 5?
I'm going to answer him
counting
first
Raylan.
that he probably would like to video it, because if he did, then he wouldn't have to repeat it 4
That's
times
what
to you, Cheryl.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead, Jay.
So what do I do when I land on there? And no, never mind.
So that's actually super interesting because, full disclosure, one of the things I do usually when I first get a game is I watch a video on how to play it.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of channels out there that I follow that will have any game you can think of on how to play the game. And usually those run from about 10 minutes to 15 minutes, and that's the problem with teaching it to you guys, because your attention span would not, we wouldn't be able to sit there for 15 minutes.
Are you still even here right now? Why are we?
Yeah.
You said you guys. You're not saying Cheryl?
Well, I mean, you are a big problem. You are a big problem, Dan.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, it would be cool. I feel like there's already a lot of people that do fantastic videos on how to play games. Maybe sometime in the future, that'd be something that I would want to do. But I don't know. For me, my passion is I love to learn a new game and I love to play a new game and teach people new games. So I don't know. It's just there's people that do a really good job with that. And when I'm teaching a game, I like to do it more organically, because then if you have a specific question, I can usually just answer it right then, rather than having to watch a 15-minute video and then we'd have to like scroll back in the video and find out where that specific rule was. So yeah.
Well, I'd still be playing like Hi Ho Cherry-O and Candyland if it wasn't for you. And there are some, I'm seeing that wall of games behind you. And so people that are listening online and not watching like the YouTube version video of this, I'm so sad that you can't see all these beautiful, I mean, the artwork on them is beautiful. And
plus you learn like the ones with the scenic parks. Mm-hmm. They talk about all the little things in the, you know, so
yeah, like parks, and then Wingspan over there that has like every card on it is a different bird with a different fact about that bird. And yeah, there's some really cool, like interesting, in some games there's some cool facts and things that you can find out about the real world.
So what's the best game you ever played?
I honestly don't know. So my current favorite game right now is Scythe.
I knew you were going to say that.
Which is over there, and it's super fun.
Which is that one? I forgot what that one is.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Don't even. There's a backstory there. Just
it is a fun game. There's a lot. So Scythe is your favorite. What's the hardest game you've ever played?
There's a game called Gloom Haven that I've played, and I tried to get a group to play it with me, and they just all dropped out because it was too much for them to try to wrap their brains around. But yeah, like each time you play it, it takes like 40 minutes to just set up the game, and
Oh
then
my gosh.
it's like another hour to 2 hours to play like one scenario in it. So it's pretty intense, but it's really fun.
Yeah.
Once you get past all the setup.
Right. And the other thing is all these legacy games that have come out now, those are really cool, but you've got to be committed because it's not just one night and you continue on, right?
Yeah. So legacy games are a really cool thing because you play a game, and then after you finish that game, depending on who wins or what you did during that game, it'll change the way you play the next game. And sometimes you're ripping up cards in the game. Sometimes you're writing on the game. And
so wrong. So
yeah,
wrong.
it kind of hurts me inside, but part of me, it's like, oh man, that's kind of cool that I can rip up this card. But yeah, they're usually about 10 games long. So you get 10 different games. And then at the end of that, you get your own customized, like personalized board game that you can play later, based on all the things that you did throughout the campaign.
But let me tell you, the legacy ones, those get super competitive.
Oh, yeah.
Because each time you win, you add your name to the permanent record on the game. You write on the game, Cheryl Todd won on this date. And when you start seeing, okay, we've played like 5 rounds and my name's not on the board yet, or it's only on there once. I mean, Jason, we've had some family fights. I'm not going to lie.
You didn't tell Cheryl, did you, Jason?
What's that?
We use permanent markers for our names and wiping marker for yours, Cheryl. So we can erase.
Did we already play that game 6? No, we never played that one, Cheryl.
I'm absolutely not shocked by that at all. And so the backstory with the scythe, when Dan's like, have we played that, is look at all the games he has, right? Yeah. And so we try to rotate him out because for a while we get locked on one and that's all we play. So then by the time we get back around to one that we haven't played in a while, we all have that reaction like, I don't know anything about this game. And Jason's like, don't tell me, I have to explain it all again.
Right. Well, sometimes I do have to like reread the rule book a little bit because I can't keep all that in my head. But
it's not like they're complicated. They're just complicated. No, they're not really complicated, but they're detailed. And so it's hard to remember, okay, on this game you did that. It's interesting. It's fun.
Well, it's helpful for us. Like, I feel like we play one game of a learning game just to figure out how to play it. And then the next time we play it, it's like the real version of the game where, okay, now you can try to put together a strategy and but the first time we play it, it's usually all just, let's figure it out and see how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
And the one thing that was kind of positive with the coronavirus thing is that we've been playing about 3 or 4 nights a week, or 3 or 4 days a week, and it's really given us some quality time to learn these games and to learn how Jason wins all the time.
Yeah. You win a couple, Dan. It's all good. You win a handful.
So there are games that are adult version that they have actually made versions for youth, right?
Yes. Yep.
Off the top of your head, can you think of a couple?
So Catan has a kids version, which is super cool. Scythe actually has a kids version. It's called My Little Scythe. Yep.
My Little Scythe.
It's one that I'm kind of interested in getting because I know Raylan and Kinsley later would enjoy that. Ticket to Ride has a kids version. So there's like a handful of games that I would call gateway games, which are like for the person who's just played Monopoly and that's all they have ever played. Catan, Ticket to Ride, the Azul is a really good one. Splendor is another one. Those are the type of games that for a first-time person, it would be like, that's what I would recommend. And a lot of those have like a kid's version as well. So they're pretty neat.
And then there are games that you can play with multiple people or even just one, right?
Yep.
Are any of those on the wall behind you?
Yeah, so Wingspan and Scythe both have a single-player version where you like it has cards that tell you what the game will do on its turn, and so you can kind of play against it that way. I have a game called Unbroken that is just for one person.
Wow.
And that was a Kickstarter game that was kind of interesting. And so, yeah, a lot of the times those games, it's more about like trying to get the best round that you can get. And then at the end, it'll tell you what your score is based on how you did. And like the game will usually follow a certain set of rules each turn to keep it interesting.
So what was that game that was real easy to learn, because the first time you played it, it gave you the instruction. You played it the way they told you to play.
Wingspan, I think.
Was that Wingspan?
Yeah, that was Wingspan.
It was so
It was like the first
awesome
4 turns. It told you what to do.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You had a couple choices to make, so you were still playing the game, but it taught you. So that's the kind of game I like, because it really explains to you what you're doing as you do it.
For sure. So Jason, you are a gamer as well, which I think implies you like to play video games online. So if you had a whole weekend and you could only pick video games or board games, what are you going to pick?
So I would say if I am completely by myself, just me, I'll play video games probably. But if I'm if I'm in the same room with a group of people, it's going to be board games every time. It's just so fun to play a game with somebody, chat, have snacks, and, just have a good time playing something together. That's
so fun. And I agree. It's awesome for us that, especially, we're multi-generational, we're a family that, some people don't even like their son-in-law. And I mean, I understand, I'm your mother-in-law, and I understand why you like me, but
right.
but it's wonderful that we all enjoy doing this, and that thankfully, since none of the rest of us wanted to read those long instruction books, that you don't mind, watching the video and then imparting it to us. But through this COVID season, this Corona season, a lot of families don't even have the opportunity to be together because they live in separate states or whatever. But what are you seeing, or are you seeing that this quarantine life, #quarantine life, is it impacting the board game industry? Like, are people spending more time around a table together playing games?
So from what I've been reading online and in my personal experience, it's definitely been positive for the board game industry. I'd say the thing that's getting hit the hardest are the little local shops that sell board games and only sell board games, because that's definitely not an essential business. So, they're definitely getting hit hard for that. But you can still order games online through, different routes. Some of the games I buy through the people that make it, and they have a website set up to ship it. Sometimes I'll order through Amazon or, support a local business. But I would say the cool thing about board games and the industry right now is there's a lot of ways for people to play online. So you can set up like a Zoom call and somebody sets up the game, and some publishers have come out with rules for like remote play.
Oh,
so
wow.
they explain what to do if you're playing it remotely like that. There's also a program called Tabletop Simulator, and that's on the computer, and it basically gives you a table, and you can people make all these games on there, and you can play them online with people. So it's basic, the controls are a little weird at first, but once you get used to it, it's like you're sitting there at a table playing a game with somebody. So digital versions of board games are definitely a thing, and an option, as well as just, Zooming or whatever, FaceTime or calling together and then playing the game that way is another option.
Well, as a manufacturer of a board game that you are now, and you're doing Relic and some others, I think one of the forms of instructions on there should be no cell phones allowed at the game. That should be the rule. What do you think, Jay?
I think every game should have like a little container that everybody has to put their phone in before the game starts. And if that gets open, then the game just stops, or you lose.
And you win. Right, and you win.
Yeah. you're instantly eliminated if you take your phone out.
And you have to cook dinner.
To cook dinner. Oh, that's good. I do agree with that. And it, especially some games that move so fast.
Yeah.
It's very disruptive when somebody's looking at their cell phone and they lose track of whether it's their turn or not. Not that that's ever been me.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice with that. How would she know that?
I don't think that's ever happened. But
well, it's
I
so
can
some
perceive
games.
it.
It's cool because they make it where you get stuff on other people's turns.
Yes.
So a lot of games, not all games, but a lot of games do that, and it keeps you from getting distracted by something else because you're always wanting to see what the person is doing, so if you're going to get whatever you're going to get. Space Base is a great example of that, where that's right above my head there. So, whenever anybody rolls, you get to collect stuff no matter depending on what they roll. So, through the whole game, there's not really a moment for you to look away from the table and take a break, unless everybody does.
Yeah. No, I think that is smart, and it does keep you engaged where you don't want to look away. And the basic example of that is on Monopoly, when it was like, pay me, because like if somebody got doubles and they were gonna roll again, you didn't want to miss that. So those games are smart. Well, we'll start wrapping up pretty soon here, because I know you got to get back at it with all that you're doing. But of those games that you've set behind you, or maybe another one in your mind, if there's somebody listening and they're like, I kind of like board games, but I haven't done anything since either Scrabble or, Monopoly or some of those classics, Sorry, or Old Maid. Some of them, I like Scythe. Don't even try out of the gate.
That's not your first game at all.
No. Can you think of one or two that you could encourage people, try this new generation of games?
So I think my top three, I'll do my top 4 suggestions for somebody who's never played anything out of these new games that have come out. First suggestion, Ticket to Ride.
Love it.
That's a great starting game, very easy to play, but it's really fun. Lots of cool decisions. My next would be Catan. Doesn't have to be Star Trek Catan, but it can be any version of Catan. Is a really good, fun way for you to see what board games are today. Splendor would be my next choice. It's another one where very simple rules, but it's really fun. You get to kind of build, like, you get more and more things each turn, and so like by the end of the game, it's one of those games where it ends and you get like really mad that it ended, because you're like, oh, I was doing such cool stuff every time. And then my last suggestion would be Azul. That one is a huge hit with anybody that's anywhere. When we sit down with that, people who don't normally play the games, if they're here and they don't want to play the hard ones, they'll usually sit down with Azul and play a couple rounds of that. So those would be 4 awesome choices.
I definitely agree. And Splendor is one of the very rare and few games that I can actually beat Dan on. And I think all of those that you mentioned can be 2-player. Yes?
Yes. Yeah. All of them can be 2-player.
So, and then Azul, is that the second? Isn't there 2 versions of Azul, or am I getting
There's
confused?
actually 3.
Oh, wow.
So this is the normal version of Azul, and then there's a second version that we own, that we play, something about Sagrada, I think, Stained Glass of Sagrada. And then there's a third one called Summer Pavilion, and they all have like a basic theme of like grabbing tiles and using those tiles, but they all play just a little bit differently. And so, yeah, I'd say any version of Azul is good for the most part, but if you're a new player, probably the original Azul is what you'd want to look for.
Very cool. I really do agree with all of those. They're so fun, and especially the Ticket to Ride is educational, because it's like a whole map of, and there's different areas, right? There's a Europe one. I think there's a American.
There's a USA one, but I think it takes place during like the like train revolution or whatever. So a lot of things are kind of from that time period. But yeah, they've got a bunch of different versions of Ticket to Ride for different areas. So it's actually kind of cool to learn some geography when you play the game.
They could do a Disneyland one. They got a train.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They
It's
might
just-
want
There you go, Jay.
Just in a circle, though. All you get to
Yeah.
do is circle.
I want to think about that. All right. Well, this has been super fun, and I'm hoping that it kind of, sparks people to try something new for themselves or gives somebody an idea about, I've been thinking about, creating a game or, starting a business during this COVID season, trying something new, that it'll encourage people to do that. And so how do people follow you? How do they keep checking to see when Relic's going to be for sale? Follow you on Instagram, all those things.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I haven't put up any YouTube videos yet because I finally was able to get my quarantine hair taken care of, I think yesterday.
It was serious.
Or no,
people.
Saturday,
It was...
so 2 days ago. But so maybe I'll put up some videos soon. But yeah, Lost Gravity Games, if you search for us on any of those, we got lucky and got Lost Gravity Games on pretty much all of that. I've got an email account. It's lostgravitygames@gmail.com. So go ahead, shoot me an email. And if you want like a suggestion for something or a question, I'm usually pretty responsive on those. And yeah, just follow any of those profiles.
That's fantastic. So this is the part of the interview where we usually, say goodbye to you, and then, Danny and I probably, talk about you behind your back or, something like that. But I wonder, since we keep talking about, we play together as a family and we spend so much time together as a family, are the kids there? Can we see them? Hop them into the camera shot.
Come say hi.
Hi, Raylan. Hi.
Hello, Raylan and Kinsley.
Hello, Kinsley.
Hello. And Mom's being shy.
Mom's being shy.
Mom's like, I've been on before. Whatever. Raylan, how old are you?
5.
5. And do you play games with Daddy?
Yeah.
What is your favorite game that you play?
Red light, green light.
Red light,
Oh.
green light.
Who wins?
Grandma.
Yeah.
Hi, Kinsley. Well, that is a really fun and a really good game. And
It's funny.
And we've gotten where we incorporate it with another game so that we put some reading into it. So, okay. Very good. Well, Kinsley, thank you for popping in. Raylan, thank you for popping in.
And Jason, thank you for popping in.
Yes.
You're welcome. That was fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Is there a game waiting for us to learn? Are you ready to spring something on us, or?
I always have something to spring on you guys. I'm always ready for something else when you guys are feeling bold.
That is true. All right. Well, thank you again so much. We really appreciate you taking the time. Jason Jameson of Lost Gravity Games. Thanks so much, Jay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. That was super fun.
Yes, it was.
Oh my gosh. And it is so much fun to play a game. We always hate when he brings a new one at first, right? Because we're like,
yeah.
Now we got to learn again. But then we get hooked. And then
he wants to play another game.
And then he wants to play another game.
Right. So, this whatever coronavirus thing is really kind of getting out of hand, isn't it, Cheryl?
It is far past getting out of hand. And but I am encouraged because I'm starting to see signs of life here in Arizona. The restaurants now can have in-seated dining, however they're phrasing that. They've got to spread it out, so I don't think board game cafes are coming back anytime super soon, because then you've got to touch the same game pieces as your table mates. But
maybe by the end of the month, things will get better back to normal. But in Arizona, it does look like a couple things are opening up. But I almost just want to do another rant, but I really can't. But what's going on in California? I mean, I saw a video or a clip a couple days ago where somebody took a dummy and made it look like he was fishing. And they had like 3 police officers slowly approach him.
Yes.
All of them close to each other.
Oh my
and
goodness.
finally they arrested the dummy for his one person being on the beach. And then the guy on the wakeboard out in the middle of the ocean that they used a boat to pull him over. And then they take people that are in jail for crimes, let them out so they can make room for people that are breaking the law with the coronavirus. And it's like, it just,
Where's
know what?
the logic?
We need, if we're going to do something, we need to have some sense to it.
Wait, so what was that game again? Ticket to Ride, and it's all about trains. We need one with a logic train.
Yes.
Right? Because it would be falling off the tracks.
It's off the track. Yes.
All the time. One more thing about that, and then we'll wrap up. Weren't you saying somewhere now you're allowed? We love that word, right? Allowed.
Oh,
we're free
allowed.
sovereign citizens in a free sovereign nation, and we're allowed, right? To be, you can go fishing, right? You can have a pole. You can have,
Yes, but you can't. Get this. You can go fishing, but you can't have a chair.
That is a bridge too far, people.
A chair.
You leave your chairs at home because chairs somehow make people get corona.
Of the butt, maybe.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed to say that.
Yes, you can. Maybe that's the deal. What do we know? We don't know anything. Maybe,
tell me, what is it about the chair?
Maybe the coronavirus cherishes it.
Oh,
I don't know. But isn't that strange that's the deal. It's like when they first started this thing, they said no kids go to school, but then the kids could go to the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
And that kind of is my first sign. Right. My first sign. But then now when we do stuff like, oh yeah, you can go to the beach, but you can't sit in a chair.
Was this California? It had to be California.
It's California.
Of course it is.
So anyway,
bless their hearts.
Just pray. Pray for our nation.
Are you taking my lines?
I'm not. I'm just telling you, we need to pray that people can get logic.
We do. Absolutely. That's a good place to close. Because, it's not, this corona thing is not all fun and games.
No. No. But
I'm not going to quit my day job.
And it's also not bored.
No.
That's for sure.
Well, I'm bored of all of this coronavirus stuff.
But it is kind of a gamble, which is a game,
All right. That's enough of that. Okay. So thank you to our awesome listeners. I hope today has given somebody like a spark.
It's a little different today, isn't it?
Kind of like, hey, I've been thinking about doing something, a new something in my life. And here's somebody that, he took his hobby and he's figured out how to turn it into a job, right? Which is our whole life. That's what we've always done.
But just, getting kids, your family together to play games. It's priceless. Yeah.
Huh. All right. Thank you so much to our listeners. What we do here wouldn't mean as much if it weren't for you. So thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us, your most precious commodity. Thank you so much to Jason, our son-in-law, Jason Jameson, for all that he does in his life. And
for marrying my daughter too.
Yeah. I'm really glad that's who she married. We kept thinking, we only have one child. What if we don't like our son-in-law? What's going to happen? What if he doesn't like us? That's
when you move across. That's when you move across this country.
Oh, yeah.
But not everybody that moves across the country does it because they don't like their son-in-law.
That's true. That's true. You didn't hear it here if that's the case. But anyway, until next time, pray for our nation. Pray for our representatives, our leaders.
Do it double time.
Do it double time. All of them. Even the ones you don't like, especially the ones you don't like. Be good to each other.
Yes, you need to pray for the ones that you don't like as well.
He's shaking his head no as he says that, by the way. And I think his fingers might be crossed behind his back. So anyway, have a great week. Be good to each other, and God bless.